Hello, everybody. This is Coresair Mack, one of the wellness professionals here at Elgin Community College. And today I'm going to talk about how we can use the 8 dimensions of wellness to structure your life. And this has come because a lot of people are struggling with motivation recently, not knowing what to do with your life, and things like that. So hopefully, this will help you at least start off with structuring your life and figuring out what it is that you want out of life as well. Right. So, first things first, what are we going over? All right, so first we're going over why it is important to structure your life, what that realistic structure looks like. And again, realistic is a very big word here because ultimately it has to be realistic. A brief overview on the 8 dimensions of wellness and an example, well, not examples, but yeah, just one example of how to use the 8 dimensions of wellness to structure your life, right? When it comes to creating end goals and things like that. All right, so let's get into it. So, why is it important? So, again, just like the first bullet point mentioned, structuring your life is important. It helps gives you a flexible roadmap to follow. It helps with increasing your motivation. It helps you hold yourself accountable. It'll help increase your self-esteem and your self-confidence. Because ultimately, whenever we're talking about structuring your life, a lot of people really have no idea where to go. And with that, they feel very incompetent in that aspect, as well as they beat themselves up a lot because they figure, hey, I'm at this point in my life right now. I need to have at least some structure of where I need to go. So by figuring out the structure, again, we're not figuring out what you're supposed to do with your life, but we're helping you create that roadmap so that way you can feel more confident and comfortable with yourself, and that'll help you increase your self-esteem. So that way you at least know a little bit about what you want to do. And I know that was a little bit of a wraparound, but ultimately, these reasons are why it's important to have at least some structure in your life. And when we talk about some structure, we got to again make sure that structure is realistic. Right. So, just like the first bullet point says, when we say structure your life, we don't mean that you have to have it down play by play. Again, that's not the point of this, right? We're not figuring out your life. Essentially, we are just helping you create a roadmap in a direction of where you want to go to. And again, just like the second bullet point states, flexible structure allows for adjustments in different areas as needed. Because true, we could point you down a path to go, but if for whatever reason you don't like that path or you figure out something as you go down that path and you figure, okay, it might be time to pivot to something else or turn to another path or create your own path in that instance, then it is okay to adjust as needed because again, it is your life. I mean, essentially figuring out what that roadmap is with your life. So if you need to turn left or right or make a U-turn or what have you, it's okay to be flexible and allow for those adjustments. Also, we need to make sure that we can come up with things that are not unrealistic, but something that can be tangible and work towards. Right. So, for example, a lot of people say they want to be a multi-billionaire. Right. I could already tell you how unrealistic that is unless you have that very tangible and flexible plan to get to that. So maybe something more realistic is maybe a millionaire or making six figures or whatever that thing is. You just got to make sure that your play or your plan, sorry, not your play, your plan is able to help you get to that point. So, with that being said, we got to really take a look at how the 8 dimensions of wellness can help us get that structure. So, of course, we have the different dimensions, right? We have physical, we have mental or intellectual, we have emotional, we have financial, we have spiritual, we have social, we have occupational, and we have environmental. So, essentially, long story short, in regards to the 8 dimensions, they all have to be in sync with each other, right? They all have to be in balance with each other. If not, you're going to have a lot of stress, pressure, negativity in your life that you do not need. And notice how each of them has stability in there, because ultimately that's what the 8 dimensions do. It helps you gain stability in your life, and it helps make sure you're working towards that stability. So when it comes to really figuring out how the 8 dimensions can be used to help you gain that stability or that path in life, it really helps with identifying what those end goals are in each dimension, right? Where would I need to be to essentially say, if I stay here for the rest of my life, I would be okay, right? I wouldn't need to go any further. And if I can figure that out, then ultimately everything else will fall into place and making sure I'm working towards that. And it might sound very complicated and complex and overwhelming at first, but thankfully each dimension works off of the other. And I'll show you a little bit of example of that when we get into the example. But we use those end goals to get that structure in our life. So that way we know exactly where it is we're going, right? We don't have to have essentially a play by play, of course, but getting that general structure of where I want to go is important. And we use our end goals to help us get that general structure, right? And I mean, true. So, for example, and then I'm going to go into a more detailed example in a second, but with our financial structure, right? You mentioned you want to make six figures. All right, that's not saying what type of job you need to have, right? That's not saying what type of environment you need to surround yourself in, right? That's not saying A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. It's just saying, okay, here's what I want, and here are some of the things I need to do to start working towards that. And as we work towards that, eventually we'll get there. But ultimately, we have to start somewhere. And this is what will help us get that path going in life. So when we get to a specific example, and I know I wrote examples, but a specific example, where we take a look at the physical dimension because that's one of the easiest examples to do and the easiest examples to take a look at. So with the physical dimension, we got to take a look at what our end goals are. So realistically, what are our end goals for weight and body type? What are our end goals for eating? What are our end goals for our medical, dental, and vision appointments? What are our end goals for our being active? And what are our end goals for how much time we're giving ourselves to do this? Right. So, for example, using me as an example, my realistic weight slash body type is staying somewhere in between 200 and 210. Right. If I could stay in between there, I will be set for the rest of my life. If I lose more weight or what have you, or get any type of physicality like a six pack or bulging arms or anything like that, that's just icing on the cake. But my ideal weight or body type is in between 200 and 210. And again, what am I eating? So my end goal is to only do my best to eat out once, maybe twice a week, or once or maybe twice every other week, right? Because ultimately I recognize and realize if I want to gain that weight, I need to do my best to eat as healthy as possible. And true, healthy food is very expensive. So when I say that, I'm making sure that mostly all my meals are home cooked meals because I can control what goes into that meal, right? I can control how much salt, how much pepper, how much seasoning, and all that stuff to make sure that I am at least eating healthy. And then also with my medical, dental, vision appointments, I just leave that up to the experts medically. How many years do I need? Or going for my either 6 month or annual routine checkup. For dental, every 4 months, I go into that. Vision appointments every 4 months to 6 months, I go into those because that's what the experts tell me I need to do. So I follow that. And I do my best to make sure that I don't fall into a financial hole when I do that because, again, these things cost money. But I do my best to make sure that everything's okay. And also, how active are you? Again, my end goal for that is making sure I'm at least active, or because these are two different things, going to the gym and exercising at least 3 times out of the week. So, being active and going to the gym, of course, are different things because one involves just movement, and the other one involves lifting weights, movement, and other things along those lines. But I got to make sure I'm active at least 3 times a week. And of course, how much time I give myself to achieve these goals, basically, however much time is needed. Because ultimately, I'm not going to complete this overnight, and I'm not going to complete with this within the next couple of months. So I'm giving myself grace and working up to that, right? Creating some smaller short-term goals and long-term goals to get to those end goals and creating plans to help get to that. Right. So I might start off, for example, the activity, especially if I haven't been going out to the gym, probably once a week, then build myself up over time to that 3 times a week. And you could do that same thing with any of these other things to help make sure you get to your end goal. All right. So with that being said, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to, again, if you're an ECC student, please feel free to give me a call at 847-214-6925. You can email me at cmack@elgin.edu, or if you want, you can come into B120 and schedule an appointment with the front desk. All right, other than that, thank you guys very much for watching this video. This is Coresair Mack, one of the wellness professionals signing out, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.